The Rhema Breakfast Show, you're with Nerida and Andrew this morning. We're very excited. We're about to introduce you to a new friend of the show.
Yeah, Dr. Dragos. He is awesome. We chatted with him on Monday. So he's a book author. He's an award-winning scientist. He's a speaker. He's also created a documentary called The Pearl of Great Price, which is on Shine TV.
Dr. Dragos Bratasanu, welcome to the Rhema Breakfast Show.
Good morning. Thank you.
How did I do with the name? Because I know this is something we've talked about, getting the pronunciation just right.
It's perfect.
Oh, well done. It is great to have you in the studio because we did talk with you the other day and you've got such an amazing story. But you have created a documentary called The Pearl of Great Price,
Yes.
which we'll get into shortly. But love for you to share your journey to New Zealand because you came from Romania, right?
Yes.
So tell us how you ended up here.
It's a very long story.
Oh,
We've got time. It's okay.
It's a very long story, but basically it's this is the land the Lord has given me.
right.
No, so I came here in 2011. I really loved it, and eventually after a few years it became my home.
Nice.
Yeah, through many miracles, signs and wonders, but eventually it became home.
Yeah, now the remarkable thing too is that your background is in the sciences and now you are an author and a filmmaker too. So tell us how did that come about?
So I think everything comes down to the journey with the Lord.
Yes.
Because so growing up in Romania, I was studying engineering. I did my PhD later in Germany in the space industry. I was winning all these awards in the space industry. I was studying with NASA and so on. But that was the career path. What people didn't see was behind the scenes. I was going deeper and deeper into darkness because I was searching for truth, but I was searching in all the wrong places. So as I was hungry to find the purpose of life and what is the truth that I'm guessing everyone is looking for, I went off into studying spiritual traditions, which later I found out they are the teachings and the doctrines of demons. So that took me down to the path of darkness and depression and suffering.
Can I just ask a question at this point? So at this point, you were not interested in Christianity? Like you didn't have a Christian sort of upbringing or anything like that?
I never rejected Jesus Christ himself. I just didn't know who he was. I've seen the religious rituals in an Orthodox Christian country, and I said, I don't want this. I want the real thing. I've always wanted the real thing, and I don't think this is it, you know? So I just didn't want anything to do with that.
Right.
Okay.
So you were exploring all of these other religions.
Yeah.
Right. And so how'd you get on? What happened?
Oh, it's just it just went deeper into darkness. Anxiety, depression, even the modern medical research nowadays show that if you go down this path, these are the outcomes: anxiety, depression, tendency to suicide, mild forms of schizophrenia, addictions, and so on. So if you are involved in this kind of thing, that's the outcome, because they produce according to their kind. So if the seed is evil, if the root is evil, eventually they will produce exactly as you saw in yourself. So what happened when I was in my 27 to 30 years old, I went through a deep depression. I didn't want to live anymore, and one day when I turned 30, I hit rock bottom, and I said, this is it, I'm done. So one night, at the end of the line, at the end of myself, I just cried out in the middle of the night. I cried out, I said, God, if you're real, help. So what happened later, she showed up in a few weeks. I was in Hawaii in a friend's house, and I just happened to find a book called The Greatest Power in the World by Catherine Kuhlman. I opened up the book as I was reading in the kitchen, standing up, reading the foreword. It said Catherine Kuhlman, a woman of God in the 40s and 50s, and in my head I was thinking, I don't want to read this. This is a Christian book, one of those Christian books. So I just skipped to the end of the foreword, and at the end of the foreword it said, if you have not made that full surrender to Jesus Christ, do it now. Now, when my eyes finished reading this sentence, I felt like an electric shock going through my heart.
Wow.
It was like the hospital paddles just discharged in my heart. I dropped the book in the sink and I almost went down on the floor. A second later, three things had happened. I was completely healed, instantly delivered of all suffering, all depression, everything was completely gone in a split second. I knew in my innermost being that Jesus Christ is the truth. So I had absolutely no shadow of a doubt. If there's one thing I was certain about to the point of laying down my life rather than deny this truth, I knew that Jesus Christ is the truth. And the third thing I knew was that he was there and he can see everything on the inside of me. Everything that was on the inside lay bare in his eyes.
Wow.
And I just fell on my face, and for 6 months to a year, I cried over every single sin I have ever committed. I didn't say, "Oh Lord, forgive me," and then moved on. No, I took it one by one, and I said, "Lord, I've done this. And it was a mix of fear, because when you open your heart completely to the Lord, it's fear. The fear of the Lord comes upon you, but he was never condemning. He was just, you need to repent so I can cleanse you. Everything that you open up and you confess, he washes away. What you keep hidden, it remains there to torment you. So after 6 months to a year, just brand new you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so then from that point, okay, you've had this experience of God now, and we've talked about how now you've become a filmmaker and an author. Was this something that you suddenly went, wait a minute, this change has happened in my life, now I have a different sense of purpose or something else I'm supposed to do with my life? How did that come about?
No, the artistic part of me has always been there. So I've been studying photography and film and writing for maybe 10 years. But when he came in, it actually gave me the direction of how am I going to use these tools and this and what I love to do.
So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about this documentary now that we are playing on Shine TV. It's called The Pearl of Great Price. Tell us about the backstory behind that.
So I was in lockdown in Germany, and I had no plans to make a movie. I had no plans to write anything. I had no idea what's next in my creative career. So I was working for the German Space Center. I didn't meet anybody in Germany because it's complete lockdown.
Right, yeah.
So all I could do was just walk in the forest at night in the snow and just pray. And one day I was just walking, and I said, "Lord, give me wisdom. What do you want me to do next?" And a few minutes later, the Holy Spirit said, "You're going to make a movie. This is going to be the name of it. These are the speakers." And I took out my phone and I started to speak what I was hearing in my heart. And everything that I recorded that night, that never changed. So if you watch the movie, it's exactly as it happened in that night. So in times of long ago, the Ancient of Days dropped from heaven a most precious pearl. So everything that I was hearing, I just recorded, and it stayed the same.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So it's all very well getting a vision and hearing from God, but then actually making it happen. How easy or difficult was that?
It looked impossible because I didn't have any money to travel, starting a new job in a new country, and also I couldn't go to the US to film. I couldn't go anywhere. I was locked. But I just took steps. I said, let's push it. Let's see what happens. I reached out to people, and actually what I thought was for the worst, being in lockdown during COVID times, turned out for the best, because all the speakers, like worship leaders, Bible scholars, even apostles from the US or Australia, they offered to use their own equipment. So you can't travel, everything is locked down. How about we use our crew?
Oh, wow. So they shoot it for you.
So they did all the work.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
wow.
And then I met a guy from he messaged me on YouTube, on my channel, just out of the blue, saying, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker from Colombia." And I said, "Would you like to make a movie?" And then we prayed together. We became really close friends. And he said, "Yep." And he's an amazing film editor, film producer, creator. So he just did all the work.
Wow, that's an amazing story of God's faithfulness and goodness. And even, when you're talking about reading the foreword of the book by Catherine Kuhlman, you started reading it thinking, I don't want to read this because, this is going to be a Christian book. And then you get to the end, and then next thing you're on your knees. That is just incredible.
Yeah.
Gosh, what an amazing story.
So now that the documentary is finished and up for people to view, like what is your hope with making a film like this? What's your goal?
To bring people to Jesus Christ. That's the end goal. Because very soon in my walk, I realized that He is the pearl that every human heart and soul is looking for. So it's not heaven, it's not a better life, it's not healing, miracles. Those come, but they are just the consequences of actually following Him. So what I'm doing with this movie is two things: bringing people to Him, and also fulfilling the calling He placed in my heart 10 years ago to bring people back to Him.
Yeah, well, I remember actually even in our conversation the other day too, we talked about how it's very easy to, forget that, it is primarily about our relationship with Him as opposed to, I need this thing to happen. I'll be happy when,
Yes.
as opposed to, as you say, realizing the most precious thing is He Himself.
Yeah.
So if people want to either follow your journey or support the documentaries you're making, because you've got plans for more in the future now, is that right?
Yes, one more documentary, one web platform, so I keep building.
To keep building?
Nice.
So
Good
how
for
can
you.
people follow you and support what you're doing?
Oh, just go to my website, drdragos.com, and I have a web show there, and all my work is there.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you so much for coming in and sharing. It's just fascinating talking with you and hearing your story.
Thank you.